Yo, what's going on, guys? And of course, today we have to do the Portland Trail Blazers season predictions. So I want to hear your guys' thoughts down below. What is your expectations this season? Obviously, we assume that they're going to continue to tank. But my question is, look, I love Shaedon Sharpe. I love Scoot Henderson. Love Denny Avdia. And I love Donovan Clingan. But can someone explain what the goal is right now with the fact that they have, look, usually when you're rebuilding, you're trying to have cap flexibility, but they have a lot of money committed. And I know the goal for this season is to, continue to get rid of players and get assets while developing Shaedon Sharpe and Scoot Henderson, as well as just, hoping this team slowly starts to form a core that you can build, continue to build this foundation that you have laid, because I think the idea of Shaedon Sharpe, Donovan Clingan, and Scoot Henderson is a good foundation that you have right there. Now, it's the rest of the contracts that I think everybody, including myself, sits here and goes like, what's going on there? So in the comment section, hit that like and subscribe button. But in the comments, I want to hear your guys' thoughts. What is your thoughts on the whole situation going on with the contracts and the type of players that they have? Because it is a very hodgepodge mix of players. So currently on this team, like I've said, it's built around Shaedon Sharpe and Scoot Henderson, or that's seemingly what they're building around. Again, I thought the drafting of Donovan Clingan was a chef's kiss, as he's kind of like what they needed, just a big ol' rim protecting big who's mobile. So there's still Anthony Simons, Denny Avdia, Jeremy Grant. There's the expectation that Jeremy Grant and Denny Avdia will be guys who will be eventually moved, as I think this is something that, I'm definitely curious to see how. And I think it's a core that's worth developing. So before we continue today's video, I want to hear your guys' thoughts in the comment section. What do you guys expect from this Portland Trail Blazers team, and why? Now, I think the biggest thing is Chauncey Billups, that coach? I wonder. I very do actually wonder that. And what is the situation in your guys' opinion with this Blazers squad? I do think they're a team that can be a bit more competitive than people give them credit. I think one of the things that's holding them back is I just want to know what the direction is, and I want to know how good of a coach Chauncey is. So for me, when I look at this team, I'm just really, really amazed by just the sheer amount of direction. I don't even, I know there's a direction, but I look at them and I'm trying to think, hey, Portland could go ahead and do, be a team that can get a player and really, really turn their fortune around, which is true. And I do believe that this upcoming draft class, if they get a good guy, it could really bode well for them. But at the same time, I think when you look at a team like Portland, they have the pieces in place, but how do you let guys develop when you still, I know Matisse Thybulle is out now, but you have Matisse Thybulle, Jeremy Grant, DeAndre Ayton, all right? Just to name these guys who are on this roster that are significantly older and not part of this timeline. And another guy, like Denny Avdia, he's younger, but he's still really not on this timeline. So for me, even Dupree, he's a guy you brought over from Australia, but he's 28. So my whole thing is, how are these guys going to help you? So my only thought is the expectation then is by the end of the season is basically going ahead and having yourself get the opportunity of being able to move a DeAndre. I don't even know where DeAndre Ayton's going. I don't know who's taking him. But a Jeremy Grant, a DeAndre Ayton, an Anthony Simons. And that way you can figure out who is going to be a part of the future, because I think you need to start moving guys. If not, you're going to look like the Detroit Pistons and the Brooklyn Nets, who the past 2 years. Royce O'Neal was supposedly going to be a first-round pick a year ago, and then they wait a year and he goes for second-round pick. Same thing with Bojan Bogdanovic for the Detroit Pistons. So it just makes you wonder that, like, if you have a guy who really has, these guys, I think you need to move them now. I think Anthony Simons, I've said it before, a team like Orlando, or a team that really needs a scoring punch off the bench, that I think Anthony Simons is that guy who could really run a second unit for a team, and he's not on a bad deal. Jeremy Grant, I've said it before, in my mind, Jeremy Grant really seems like I don't see him going to Los Angeles. I don't see him raising Los Angeles' ceiling. In a weird way, I see DeAndre Ayton being more of a ceiling raiser for Los Angeles than Jeremy Grant would be, but it's not like they would get either of those guys. I really think Jeremy Grant's the type of guy to end up in Milwaukee for Chris Middleton. And I think that's just as a result of him being a guy that, if, for example, Chris Middleton's contract, the way that it's, I believe it's later, like, let's say if they offered us whatever picks they can give you, and Chris Middleton and Marjon Beauchamp for Jeremy Grant. If I'm Portland at this point, by the way, Portland has the 19th most expensive payroll. So it doesn't make sense to me if you're a team that plans to to be rebuilding, to have this many, like, guys under contract, like, where you're paying them significant amount of money. So that's something that I find rather strange in this whole thing. Like, rather strange. And when we look at Portland, Jeremy Grant's making $29 million. Again, I think Denny Avdija is a guy that they want to keep. Robert Williams is another guy that, if he's healthy, I think they can trade him, because somebody's going to want him, as he's going to be able to be a really good backup center for a championship team. And as I said earlier, if there was a team, I do think it's Milwaukee. I don't know why, but I've thought about this for a while now. Chris Middleton makes $2 million more, and next year, Chris Middleton's contract is a player option. But the thing is they could just buy him out. So basically, they trade for him, and then he becomes an expiring contract. So I've really been thinking that the whole time. And then DeAndre Ayton, I don't even know. Unless San Antonio or the Lakers, I just don't know who sees DeAndre Ayton as a guy who's worth paying $34 million. Like, is he really going to raise your ceiling? And after that, I think Matisse Thybulle and Robert Williams will be easy to move. A lot easier than people will think. But yeah, outside of that, Anthony Simons, I've said it before, like, the only deal I could think off the top of my head, maybe like an Anthony Black, Jet Howard, Cole Anthony deal, something along those lines. No picks involved. I just don't know what's the value for, like, some of these guys. And that's the difficulty when you're trying to figure this out, is all that. So let me hear your thoughts, guys. Peace.